Algorithmic efficiency, human judgment is a competitive advantage. With that thought, a very warm and energetic good afternoon to our esteemed panelists, faculty members, fellow students, and distinguished guests. I'm Haridra, and on behalf of the Industry International Company, I extend a hearty welcome to you all to Vishleshan, the Annual Analytics Conclave of the Indian Institute of Management Kashipur. In a world increasingly driven by data, Vishleshan represents a commitment to deep analysis and the pursuit of clarity with numbers. It brings together the sharpest minds of analytics, technology, and business strategy, decode the complexities of the modern enterprise. Over the years, this conclave has served as a bridge between academic rigor and industry practice, fostering conversations that shape the future of business intelligence. This pursuit of balance between data and discernment, between technology and intuition, is exactly what IIM Kashipur stands for. As an institution, we've always believed in fostering dialogue that is not just academically rigorous, but deeply relevant to the real world. Today's discussion promises to be another step in that direction, challenging us to think beyond the object. Now, let's set the stage for a short film that captures the essence of IIM Kashipur's journey.
The Indian Institute of Management Kashipur is a second-generation IIM set up by the Government of India in 2011. In all these years, the Institute stands true to its vision and mission. Our vision is to be an institute of eminence that fosters management research and education and develops leaders for creating positive societal impact in a changing world. And the mission of IIM Kashipur is to create and disseminate knowledge through applied and interdisciplinary research and practices in emerging areas of management. IIM Kashipur, a completely student-driven campus from placements to functional work, from academic to non-academic activities. There is a student body for each discipline. Being a part of such student bodies and event-specific teams, students get first-hand experience of time management, working in a team, situation handling, and managing positive relationships with the administration. We need to attain new heights with every new batch of students. We celebrate the ups and downs of the journey of our beloved students and would like to wish them luck for upcoming years.
As we navigate the age of intelligent enterprise, we are constantly reminded that data is the new oil, but algorithms alone are not the engine. The true power lies in how we refine that oil, and more importantly, in the human decisions that steer the vehicle. This brings us to the heart of today's discussion. Beyond the algorithm, human judgment in intelligent enterprises. Through this panel, we aim to explore the critical balance between machine intelligence and human intuition. As the businesses become more automated, where does human judgment fit in? How do we ensure that our pursuit of efficiency doesn't come at the cost of wisdom? This conversation isn't about man versus machine, but about the powerful synergy between the two, creating a whole that is far greater than the sum of its parts. Now, it is my privilege to introduce the brilliant minds who will guide us through this fascinating landscape. I request my co-host Haridra to join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists. Thank you, Aishwarya. It is an absolute honor to be a part of this conference, and I'm thrilled to introduce our distinguished panel. We are privileged to welcome Mr. Chirag Suresh Mehta, Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Star. With over 20 years of experience, he has built in-house analytics capabilities, monetized data assets, and deployed impactful Gen AI use cases, delivering measurable outcomes like fraud reduction and revenue uplift, all while remaining deeply hands-on with technology and governance. Sir, it is our privilege to have you here with us. I would now like to invite Professor Kunal Ganguly, Dean Development, to felicitate our guest of honor, Mr. Chirag Suresh. We are honored to welcome Mr. Deepak Kulkarni, Associate Director at IIM, leading the Data API and AI platform within the CIO organization. With over 22 years of experience, he has pioneered NLP-based business metrics and enterprises AI workflows that have driven over $1 billion in business impact. His passion lies in the responsible use of AI to build resilient, ethical, and future-ready enterprises. So, we are truly honored to have you here. I would now like to invite Professor Utkarsh, Chairperson of Placement and Corporate Relations, to felicitate our guest of honor, Mr. Deepak Kulkarni. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Deepak Das, Director of Infrastructure Solution Delivery at Novartis. With over 20 years of experience in enterprise architecture, he drives large-scale modernizations across AWS, Azure, and on-premise platforms. He hosts the popular YouTube channel Enterprise Architecture Review, demystifying complex tech concepts for CIOs and practitioners worldwide. Sir, we are truly honored to have you with us today. I would now like to invite Professor Deepak Verma, Chairperson of Placement and Corporate Relations, to felicitate our guest of honor. We are honored to welcome Mr. Rishi Seth, Senior Director at Capital Analytics, with over 18 years of experience across Asia Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East. He is an IIM Ahmedabad and INSEAD alumnus, recently named to top 3 AI's 100 AI Makers 2025, a certified mentor, design thinking professional, and published author. His multifaceted expertise promises to add immense depth to our discussion. We are delighted to have you here, sir. I would now like to invite Professor Deepak Verma, Chairperson of Placement and Corporate Relations, to felicitate our guest of honor, Mr. Rishi Seth. Now I have to introduce our moderator for this panel. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Subhadev Kar, a product leader in banking and fintech sectors. An alumnus of IIM Kashipur, he has built and scaled credit card platforms and payment ecosystems at Zeta, JustPay, and ICICI Bank. His data-driven strategies have driven high dollar value transaction uplifts and significantly improved customer acquisition. He is deeply passionate about the intersection of AI and modern product management. So, we are pleased to have you with us today. I would now like to invite Professor Utkarsh, Chairperson of Placement and Corporate Relations, to felicitate our moderator. Now, I humbly request Mr. Pal to take over and initiate the session.
Yes. So good afternoon, one and all. So we had a brilliant introduction for our entire panel. So really excited to start this discussion with all of you. So when algorithms can predict with accuracy, it is interesting to cover what role remains for human judgment, right? So data eliminates, AI uncovers patterns, yet they still cannot be trusted to take crucial decisions, right? Today's conversations explore how enterprises plan to harness algorithms, leveraging technology not to replace human discernment but to elevate it, right? Because in a world shaped by data, the competitive advantage might lie not in better algorithms, but in humans making better decisions, right? So, okay, we will probably start with the opening question for everyone, so that before moving into more specifics. So, let's start with a simple one. So I'll start with you. Yeah. Mr. Deepak, can you share one decision in your role right now that you would never probably trust an AI to make on your behalf, and why would you think so? Like, why would it be the human touch?
Thank you for having all of us here. I'm really delighted to be on the stage here with all of my panelists, colleagues here. So let me take this in a different way. I would like to talk about a small scenario. You don't want to answer to the question, but let's use a small scenario. Just I want to see how is everyone doing after the lunch? Yes. Okay, before I respond to this question and have some small scenario, I would like for everyone to think one word as we close the scenario. Maybe you can actually synchronize whether this was something that I was actually envisioning or something else. So start guessing or start thinking about one word to the question that our moderator has asked here. So let the small scenario. A couple of months back, I got together with my team and we were looking at our platform. So I lead the data platform within the IIM organization. We were looking at the platform to see what can we do to accelerate our platform journey. When I say platform journey, it's about workflows, it's about getting some of the processes faster. So we sat together, we said, okay, let's look at the architecture. Okay, on paper, beautiful, right? You can define the architecture on paper, saying, okay, let's build data connections, let's build workflow, let's connect this API, or let's say connect this data with this outcome. So on paper, beautiful. And then we started applying those or started thinking. AI can improve the efficiency. AI can improve the operationalize the data. But then we were thinking, right? There has been a time where people have learned hard way in terms of a couple of key elements. Could be compliance, could be organizational risk, privacy. So while AI can help with operationalizing efficiency, we took a step back. We paused and said, are we looking at customer privacy? Are we looking at regulations? Because when you're dealing with AI, when you're dealing with some of the human in the loop, as I'll come to the point, are we looking at regulations? We said, okay, what else do we really have to think through so that we can really rely on AI? So it was a battle. Okay, let me be honest, because the whole industry wants, okay, let's go fast on AI. Everything needs to be AI driven. Yes, but what cost? I think that's something that we as leaders have to be, very proficient in thinking, right? At what cost AI? Bringing efficiency at what cost? And that's the scenario we're talking about. We took a step back and said, are we taking into consideration customer privacy? Are we looking at some of the key regulations that are defined by each laws in different countries? Because some of the roles that we play in organizations cuts across multi countries. Some laws are different in, let's say, Europe versus, let's say, in Americas. Are we ensuring that we are using one blanket rule for all? That's not how it should typically work. So we said, okay, Now that we know the scenario, let's try to see if we can accelerate our platform journey workflow into a agentic flow. Because we are now moving away from just defining workflows for, let's say, a particular process over to getting to a point where those are agentic in nature. So we said, what is that one thing that is missing here? And that's where we not just uncovered, but we discussed in detail is guardrails. Very important step in the journey of AI for any organization, any small organization or large organizations. Without guardrails set in place, it becomes very difficult for us to now define any AI workflow. And that's exactly what we did. We defined guardrails and said, what is it a human or let's say an analyst or let's say a product manager like you would typically do, right? Not just sit back and see, just run a code and then let the process work through. There's a judgment period which we had to include. We had to include governance as a compliance, a guardrail, judgment as a guardrail. Are we doing the right way? It's not just about running, say, a data project or a data, right? Example, right? Let's say you run a region, okay? You're head of a region, you want to see what specific outflow I have with my clients, and am I really, getting there and achieving my numbers. AI will definitely, throw you those numbers, right? It's not about insights. Are these insights really meaningful? I think that's where the guardrail is coming. So, my scenario-based responses set guardrails in a way where it's not just the AI that runs your code or your process or your automation, but ensure that you apply those human in the loop perspective so that you are not just relying on AI to run your operations at scale. You definitely need human in the loop to ensure that we are doing the right thing. I think that's a small scenario, I would say.
Thank you. I think, that's a brilliant answer because you spoke of the big picture and why not just the decision, but walked us through why it was either guardrails and why human judgment was needed. So we'll like to go to Mr. Chirag.
First of all, thanks to IIMs and all the students for hearing us. So, one scenario, again, I will take a cue from you because that will keep you away. And think about, and you got to answer it right now. Think about an automation that probably was not there, say 10, 15 years back, and today that automation is there and machines have taken over. Can anybody give me an example? Automation. Now, don't think about AI. We're talking about pure automation. Anything, any process that a machine does it completely without any human intervention. Any example? Lots in agriculture sector that I know of. Anything that anybody can come up with this? Assembly line? To an extent. Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's go back and why I will not exactly say yes and no or go to a decision which I would trust AI with or not, because at some point in time, at the right time, with the right tech, with the right environment and the right societal understanding of that, it will happen. And I just want to kind of demonstrate that the automobile assembly line, the example that he gave, probably say 50 years prior to that, people would have thought, you know what, this automation will make people lose jobs. What if the welding is not correct? What if, what if, right? Because at the end of the day, automobiles are things that we are using. So if it is not assembled correctly, the chances of accident are there, right? So how could you trust a machine doing that? But today we have, right? Because nobody is excited about welding a chassis. Is anybody excited about welding a chassis? No, right? Similarly, in the agriculture sector, sorting of grains, sizing of grains used to be a very, very human laborious work, right? Today, it is trusted by machines and they are packed also. There is no human intervention for that matter in that, and it is completely automated because today, the tech is involved. Yes, we have vision, computer vision, camera vision, laser technologies which can do the sorting correctly. It can pack, it can go. And society is ready, yes, because nobody is fearing, oh my God, that skill I'm going to lose out. Sorting is a very basic skill. People have upskilled themselves, so they are okay to let machines do that. So, short answer to that is the day when we are ready for a process and the society is ready and the tech has evolved, I think that is going to happen. Simple example, the Waymo cars, right? Yes, very limited, but are people comfortable? People are comfortable. They are taking those driverless cars for those specific in those specific cities. They are comfortable right now. Nobody is fearing that people are losing all their jobs. So that's the answer. So it will happen, but at the right time.
I think you have beautifully put, because if we try to think of the future, we may not get the right answers. But if we go back the past and look at perspectives, then we might have
multiple examples.
Multiple examples. Beautiful summarized. So we'll go to Mr. Rishi next. So what is your perspective on this? How do you see this human in the loop versus letting machines make bad decisions?
Yeah, so for me, human in the loop is required. I'll not trust AI to shape my scratch. I spent a lot of effort to give that say, just some such decisions always stays with humans I trust. Yeah, but jokes apart, see, the way we look at AI and where it can assist, you have to look at tasks from a pyramid perspective. So just visualize a pyramid. I hope you all are with me. Now, in a pyramid, there are 3 layers. Bottom layer, which is broad, center layer, and top layer, which is narrow. Imagine bottom layer is the tasks which are simple, less impact, repetitive. Okay? And the ones which are top, they are complex. Impact of those tasks or the decision that you make on those tasks is very high. They're not repetitive. They are like few such decisions which humans or managers, leaders need to take. I'll give few examples. Let's say I have clients or customers and I have to just decide how much discount to be given to which client. It's a simple task, pretty repetitive task. I have to do it day in and day out. And I have all the data for the clients and customers I serve to. So I know whom to give 2%, 3%, 5%. This is pretty much which can be automated today, leveraging AI, and I will trust AI with that. Because the impact is also not very big, right? You are all with me? Yes. On the topmost layer, imagine that I have to decide that which new country I need to explore if I have to sell my products. It's a big strategic decision. The impact is big that whether should I go and open my new hub in Japan or Middle East or Canada. So I will rely on human to take that decision, but with the help of information which is gathered through data and leveraging AI. So human is in control, but we are taking assistance and insights and information from data from AI, and then we are making those decisions. And then in center you have few decisions which every business or leaders need to take, which have medium impact, and the reputation is also medium, where it will always be, as both my colleagues were saying, human in the loop or human on the loop, as we call it, right? Where you take inputs, but at the end there is a human who will decide whether to accept that or not to accept. So these are the 3 layers: a fully autonomous, human in the loop or human on the loop, as we call it, and human in control. Now, every function you can decide into this pyramid and fit, and as technology will mature, this pyramid will, I would say, shrink or it will come down a bit. But I think more complex tasks or more complex decisions humans will have to make. So the top 2 layers will continue to expand also. I hope that helps. I think simple, like, right? I'll give you an example. If I have to do hiring for shortlisting, I will rely on AI. But for the final selection, I will do face-to-face interview, interact with the candidate, and then so in the hiring, there are certain steps where I rely on AI, and then there are certain steps which I will want to do. If I want to make a friend, I'm sure maybe at this age, I don't know how many of you use Bumble, Tinder. Right? If AI was only to be used there, then the match is done. But you rely on the human intervention to decide whether to take it ahead or not, right? Yep. So yeah, this is it. This is the spectrum.
Yeah, I think beautifully put because we are able to see the opportunity that how humans now have the opportunity to move up the pyramid and do more and more complex tasks and leave probably the tasks at the bottom of the pyramid to the machines. And we have to think on how, so it's probably an opportunity for all of us to now, make more complex or strategic decisions so we can start moving there definitely. We'll go to you, sir, Mr. Nirupal. What's your perspective on this discussion and now what do you want to add to the perspectives?
So I don't want AI in my motorcycle. So I ride a beautiful CC motorcycle and plus motorcycles are getting really smart these days. They have real-time suspension, rigidity, everything. But I really don't want AI in my motorcycle because it's an experiential. But at work, okay. Anything related to humans, people, I don't want AI to wait too long, especially who gets the promotions and hiring as well. You already covered that. And who gets the promotions, who gets the, and sometimes layoffs as well. Organizations often get rid of people. And when we let AI take those decisions, it's not a good idea because AI doesn't really get the full context. Right? AI is involved in a limited context. Sometimes, and this is one of my own experiences, one of my top performers are not performing very well for a long time, for a reasonable amount of time. So I started getting worried about why this is happening. But then after a couple of conversations, I came to realize that I was going through a certain personal tragedy in my family, and that was affecting his performance. Now, these are things that AI cannot really take into context and cannot catch. So I usually would not want to use AI when it comes to people decisions. When I think about promotions, I need to think about who you need to, lay off, who you need to hire. Not yet at least. And this is something that I've learned in my 25 years career is that I never say never. But today, AI is not smart enough to take full context. But you never know. The speed at which technology is changing, you might have data. Everybody knows data. Who knows data? I'm not talking about the data analytics data. The character data. Anybody? What? No Star Trek fans here? Star Trek Next Generation? Nobody? Really? Okay, so there is an artificial intelligence robot of cyber that's there in Star Trek Next Generation, who walks around the ship and who's very close to being human. So you never know, we might have AI tomorrow walking around in our organization who's almost as smart as human, who has the full context of what's happening in somebody's life or how they're performing or not. Not today.
Thank you. Again, as you said, not everything is an exact science, so not everything can be outsourced to anyone. Doesn't have all the context, at least today. So definitely. And it's so endearing to hear everyone speak because when we are in an industry where we have our leaders, and when we try to GPT or I try to Gemini and ask these questions, the perspective and the examples are given are so unique to each one of you. I think it's really beautiful. I won't be able to generate this kind of personalized examples using the best Claude or the Gemini models probably today. So I think we'll move to our next question. I think all of us touched upon this part a bit in our conversations, but with so much data coming at us and so many tools at our disposal, right? We have all the clouds, the cortexes of the world and whatnot. So how do you ensure that your teams are focused on the right set of problems? So I guess we'll start with you this time.
So there is a meme that is going around, making the rounds on LinkedIn. And if you're on LinkedIn, you must have all seen it. Who are we? CEOs. What do we want? AI. Why do we want it? We don't know. When do we want it?
As of yesterday.
So when you have a hammer right? Everything looks like a failure. When you want to use AI everywhere. So what I do is I talk to my team, I tell them we are not in the business of building AI. But we are in the business of eliminating pain, removing pain. And the three questions that we should ask is, who is in pain first? And then the second question would be, what is the reason of that pain? Or what is the cause of the pain? And the third question is, if I remove this cause, if I remove this pain, will it move the needle for the business or not? It needs to have an impact on the business and a significant impact. And I've seen this happen many times in organizations, right? People have created relevant chatbots for answering 15 to 20 questions, which are repeated. Do you really need a chatbot for that? You don't really need a chatbot. You can have an FAQ document. And this is for an internal audience, an ethical audience, who would actually prefer reading an FAQ document over going and talking to a chatbot. And it definitely does not impact the business, right? So if you can answer these three questions, does it, what is the pain? Who is in pain? Can we remove that pain? And if you remove that pain, will it move the needle or not? If you answer these questions, I think you will focus on the right objectives.
Thank you. I think a lot of answers are understood better with frameworks. And with that framework, I think it's easier to simplify the answer. So, yeah, Mr. Rishi will move on to you.
So, see, again, coming to the same point that they are doing business not to leverage AI. There are just two objectives of any function in business: improve the bottom line or improve the top line. Right? Everything is just related to one of these two. Now, as an organization, and what you're saying is right. The question is very pertinent that many times my team they say, okay, where I can use AI, what AI tool can I use? And the question should always be, as very well explained by Nilotpal, that what is the business problem that you are trying to solve? Let's start with that. And there is a nomenclature for that, and always needs to be you should think from a decision backward perspective. That what is the decision that you need to take? And then move backward at what AI, what data, or any technology that you have, which can help you make that decision, and that decision ultimately needs to be related to your top line or bottom line. Right? That's point number one. Point number two, and again, maybe talking about some basic framework, we also have one, we call it a 4E framework, coming from corporate. I'm sure you are also learning a lot of framework, but basically the 4E stands for expenditure, edge, exposure, and expansion. So this is basically you need to take care and you need to discuss with the team that please qualify that the expenditure that you are putting on it, is it worth it? So precisely the point that you're saying that if you have to just find FAQ for 15 questions, is it really worth it? Take your ROI. Then your expansion, okay, you can solve it, but is it like scalable? Is it just that you're doing it for this 15, 20 questions, or maybe tomorrow you can solve 1500, 15,000, 15 lakh questions using the same, and still you will be positive ROI. Right? Think from that lens. Third is edge. So is it really giving you some business edge, which is a differentiator, leveraging AI, or you can just maybe leverage some expert, 1%, 2%, and you will be able to get the same differentiation. Right? So is there a differentiation, and that differentiation can be form of customer experience, faster response time, right? Because AI might help you make things faster, but is it really becoming an edge? Do you really need to respond in 5 seconds, or it's okay that you are still responding in 5 hours and still your business will run? So is that edge in the effort is worth it? And once you are convinced on these three, a very important key is the exposure, which is everything that was covered, which is the risk part, the reputation risk, the risk of secrecy, privacy. So by leveraging AI, is it that you are exposing your business to some kind of a risk? What is the possibility and percentage of that? Because we all talk, we look at Apple, right? All of you, I'm sure many of you will be using Apple products. Is there a Apple versus Android discussion goes on, or yeah. But we also see that Apple is not very aggressive on AI. Google is, Amazon is, Apple is not. And somewhere it's a cautious call because for them, the reputation and their entire selling, which is focused on status symbol, secrecy, privacy, they don't want to take a risk with that. So if something goes wrong, right, if there is something which gets leaked because of leveraging system or anything on AI, so they don't want to take that risk because their brand is status, secrecy, privacy. So it's a cautious call which they are taking. So that's what we need to look. We need to look at these four lenses. This is just a framework that they take in the framework. But broadly, which we need to consider, and you need to talk to your team, your colleagues. Many times you get this push from a senior management, we need to discuss with them also, and then shape it together.
Right. Yeah, so it becomes very important to evaluate all the four E's, and it gives us a checklist for the right set of questions to ask, so that we don't miss out on anything critical. So yes, sir. With that, we'll move to you.
So since we are talking frameworks, I'll also extend. I'll say marry the problem, not the solution. And this is both professionally and personally. I know spouses are problems, but you should marry them. So marry the problem, not the solution. As simple as that, you got to solve that problem, irrespective of what solution you deploy. Let it be high-tech AI or a low-tech Excel sheet, right? This is what I tell my team. We are married to the problem, not the solution. My stakeholder needs a solution. He does not need something high-tech. He wants the things to be done, and that's what it is. So, students at your level, I would really request that tools were there, will be there. Skills is what you need to add. The context is what you need to add. The understanding of the environment, the business, the whole society is what you need to add. Tools will be there. Why do you bother about tools? Yesterday it was an Excel sheet, tomorrow probably it will be an AI-driven smarter Excel sheet. So be it, you will learn to use it. But the skills that you learn here in the class, the liberty that you have to learn a skill, test it out, does not work, that you may not have completely in your offices. So use your time to learn as many skills as possible. And when I say skills, I'm saying everything, right? From say singing to a very complex skill of coding. But that skill is something that you should learn. So I would say concentrate on skills, not on tools, and marry the problem, not the solution.
So yeah, I think I could see a lot of relieved faces. Yeah, like we are focusing on the right set of things. Yes, we'll move to Mr. Deepak.
I think we've enough spoken about frameworks, managing the problem. I'm going to take a slightly different feedback. Know your problem. It's not just marry your problem, right? You will need to understand and know your problem. And if you know your problem, then it becomes very easy. So the problems on a day-to-day basis are going to stay, whether it's AI or non-AI. It doesn't matter, right? A business problem is a business problem, whether it's today or tomorrow or at any given point in time. Knowing what specific problem is going to be very important. And just flipping to the other side, knowing what the outcome is going to be is also very important. It needs to be outcome driven. If you're just focusing on the problem and not focusing on what the outcome is needed and for whom the outcome is needed, then you're just doing for the purpose of just doing it because you're just spending your time, right? Hammering the problem, but then you're not focusing on the outcome. So just to kind of add to my colleagues here, flipping, right? Know your problem, focus on the outcome. By default, it becomes easier for you to untangle. And in a typical industry jargon, I would say, orchestrating the problem on a day-to-day basis becomes easier to deal with any data problem, business problem, or any problem. And if I have to kind of let it down into, let's say, college year, right? You all knew that you were not going to have bikes in the campus, right? Day one, everyone was like, no, how do I get to the class, right? So you started to know your problem, and what did you do? Is that a problem today?
no. It is still a problem.
Maybe it's still a problem, but at least now you know the solution is in front of you and how you can apply it. You can take a shortcut, you can definitely go different ways, right? So orchestrating your customer, your problem is very important for solving day to day, not just human affairs, but technological affairs as well. I think that's what my point of view would be. Would you like to add something?
I don't want to add anything, but from everything that we are saying here, you guys must be thinking there's a bunch of old days who don't like AI.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Bread and butter.
Yeah, I know. So, we don't want you to think that we are against AI or anything. Okay? AI is here, like it or not. Right? And it's beautiful, trust me. The things that you can do using your artificial intelligence is just amazing. All we are trying to say is don't just completely focus on AI, try to understand it's here for a bigger purpose. There are many beautiful things that you can do using AI. So AI not just for AI.
I think that was the best summary. That the common theme of all the answers is don't try to force fit AI into all the solutions. Ask the basic fundamental questions. Think from first principles. What's the problem? What's the business context? Use AI to get more of it. And then I think those are the skills that we need to develop. I think what we can do here, we can take a couple of Q&As also instead of having it at the end.
I think that's very important because right, we would like to understand, the theme, right? What's in your mind? That's very important for us. It's not just about we being here and going into a lecture mode. This is not a lecture mode. Okay? This is more about knowing what's on your mind. What is that you would typically like to understand? So I think it's very important that we focus on that part.
Yes, and any basic questions I am sure you would love to answer. Anything that comes to your mind doesn't have to be a very complex question.
And there is a bunch of technical or industry jargon that we might be using without realizing. So if you don't understand something,
Like I did, right? Orchestration.
Any and every question is a good question. No question is actually a question. So if you don't have a question, it's surprising. You definitely have a question, but don't try to judge that question.
So we talked a little bit about know your problem. So the problem with people who are early in their careers is that they don't encounter any problem when you take use of a lot of AI. So for example, if I'm early in my career, I've been using Claude or Cursor or anything for coding. So it gives me such a precise code that I don't encounter the problem at all. So would you think that the answer of these tools is making fundamentals a little bit weaker for people who are early in their careers and just starting or breaking into new tech?
Okay, two perspectives. Okay, I think you have the technology at your hands, be it cloud, be it Gemini, be it GPT. You're trying to apply those in the context of you want an answer, you would like to see an answer, right? And when you don't see an answer the way you want it, then you go until it gives you a similar pattern of the answer. If you see, right? For example, let's say you are using cloud here, okay? You want to automate a task, you want to write a code, you want to create test cases. It can be done beautifully, right? Creating test cases, writing code. I think that's part of the pre-problem, right? But that's not a day-to-day business context that you would like to try, right? So let's say as an analyst, let's say you get into a job, you are an analyst now. You've been given a problem, and problems are day-to-day scenarios. You don't, in any organization, you don't call as a problem. You say, hey, here is the situation, or here is the scenario, and how do you handle it, right? When you try to interpret that just by looking at, okay, cloud generated this test cases, cloud generated this code for me, is that good enough? Not really, right? Because there are layers of not just code, but business context which needs to be applied. And you need to A, understand the business context, and B, see if the business context is being applied or not. As early adopters of technology, you know how to use technology. There's absolutely no doubt in it. Everyone in the room here knows how to use technology on phones or laptops, right? But way to use this technology in the context of know your problem is very important and how we apply it. I think that's what I would say, right? It's knowing the technology at best is great, but then how you apply and where you apply is going to make that difference. Is that helpful?
If I may just add this consciousness that you have, or for that matter you guys have, let's say, am I missing out on knowing the real problem? Am I getting the answer too soon? That itself is good enough. Actually. If you don't know that you are in a problem, you'll never be out of it. And the fact of this is, right, see, as we were just talking about those examples, right, welding a chassis of a car is not considered as a skill that you want to live 35 years of your life doing. But 100 years back, that was, right? So you have better things to do. So yes, in this whole business, you may lose out on some basics, but those are not even required. So as he rightly mentioned, knowing the problem, what problem you are trying to solve, how it is getting solved, yes, you will have to discount it a bit. We sitting here probably also, at least I do not know how the algorithms work. For that matter, Anthropic last year had a budget to find out why the LLMs are answering what they are answering. Imagine Anthropic, who has so many models. Last year's call for the organization was to find that out, because they said that if you want to make this model do something, what ways are we going to change so that it gives the answers or it does not give the answers that we. So they also don't know. So don't worry on those lines. Right? Thank you.
One thing I just want to ask, like you said that you have to write the code, but why you are writing the code?
Currently, this is early starter. So, it is usually related to some assignment problem or just something that comes up. For example, if I might want to automate anything, or like maybe in hackathons or something. So, mostly related to that.
Again, to automate something,
Right.
but why?
To make things easier,
Faster,
quicker, correct.
right? I think that is what the problem that we all are referring to. That the problem is there is a business need. The business need is maybe respond to the client faster or do a particular transaction faster so that it saves time and ultimately saves money or improves to client satisfaction. So again, as long as you are clear about it, that it's not about coding. See, coding will become even more easier. Yeah, the transparency of coding is still being discovered. But as long as you are aware that you are writing a code to make things faster, not for the sake of coding or making things faster, for the sake of improving customer experience, for sake of improving turnaround time. That is the problem that we all want you to focus on. Right? Because at the end, that should be the question that okay, this will lead that impact and that clarity. It's like I think we all have heard the story, right? That there are three people who are just laying one brick on top of other. And one person, you go and ask the person, okay, what are you doing? He says, can't you see I'm just laying one brick on top of other? So, okay, go to the next person, he's also doing the same thing. He said, no, I'm making a big wall. So the perspective is not one brick on, but the perspective is I'm making a big wall. And he's very clear about it, that the objective is to make the wall. Third person, you go and ask the same thing, he said, I'm making the most beautiful temple, which is going to exist for next 1,000 years. So the problem is not laying a brick on top of the other brick. The problem they're solving is making the most beautiful temple which is going to exist for 1,000 years. So that clarity is all we are expecting you to have. And then this is the tool that you are using to do that.
In fact, I'm jealous. Because when we started our career, that was our problem. So my problem was to write a balance sheet. Balance sheet is the data structure, I'm sure you guys know.
That was the problem. We used to computer who can write a balance sheet faster. Okay. Today, I can ask ChatGPT or Claude to write a code for a balance sheet and come out in 5 seconds. Right? I am jealous of you because you don't have to spend the first 5 years, 7 years of your career in the economy. Right? You can straight away get to strategy. It takes a lot less time for you to get to strategy. You can start thinking about the business. Start thinking, why are you writing the code? What is the code going to do? You don't have to think about writing the code. You can think about why you're writing the code. So I want to build on that. Any other question? That's a very interesting question.
Yes.
So my question is like, basically we talk like why we want human in the loop, right? And like why we don't want everything to be AI based, right? Now my question is like, as Mr. Seth has mentioned that he does not want an AI to cut his beard. So just wanted to say like, if we provide enough data to my, let's say, what that this is what you want my beard to look like, right? Now if let's say your barber is like having a bad day and he cuts like he cuts your beard like in a weird way and you're not satisfied with it. But the AI already knows how it has to cut it, the precision with what it's gonna cut it, and it knows the in and out of how you want it, right? So I just want to know, like we also studied that there's a trade-off between efficiency and satisfaction. So if AI can provide you both, they can provide you that midpoint that we were discussing about the trade-off. So why not we want to like have AI more involved rather than being human in the loop? Because my understanding is basically human in the loop is something that for me I feel that it's mostly related to somewhat healthcare sectors because those sectors are something emotional and like more connected with people. So that might be something that where we can have that human in the loop concept. But as such, if we are working on that industry corporate world, maybe AI is something that can help us improve as well as again like it can make it better for us as well. So that is my point.
Thank you. What's your name?
So Yukta.
Yukta. Okay. Very valid. Very valid point. And I'll just repeat what Lokpal just said that never is just for today. As of today, tomorrow, if there is an AI robot who has all my preferences, who has all the data and context, and let's say have some proof points that it has not killed anyone yet. I'm just joking, but it has not caused any harm while shaving or cutting a beard. Why will not buy it? But at the same time, you need to look at those 4 E's. There are many other things that a potentially robot can do. Maybe there is a robot, but if it is too expensive for me to go to a robot, or if it's too expensive for that barber shop to have to hire robots versus humans, they might not even hire it. But yeah, technology is becoming cheaper day by day. They potentially 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, there will be very cheap robots which are very cheap, and potentially you will see all the barber shops or salon having robots which can give or cater to all the demands. So yes, I'm not saying no to that. As of today, because there are less proof points, that was the only reason I said. But yeah, what you're saying is very relevant. As technology is getting cheaper, and see, AI is the only technology where the technology is trying to understand human. Everywhere else, every new technology, human needs to understand the technology. Like be it cloud, be it mobile, or we talk about the SMAC technology, right? This is the first time a technology is trying to understand human. It has all the world context, all the world knowledge, and it is getting better. And as human, as an individual, you can give feedback. You can give, I would say, points if they are doing better. You can give them less points if they are doing worse. So they are getting trained and they are getting better and better and cheaper. And we know what will happen as technology becomes cheaper. It expands. We all know, I think we have witnessed where we used to go to a telephone PCO booth and at 59 seconds we used to disconnect so that we did not pay another 6 rupees or 8 rupees. Right? Because that was every minute used to cost for STD calls. Now we don't even think before making a call how long it is going and it's a video call, right? The data has become so cheap, the calling has become so cheap, and eventually it will happen to AI also, and it will reach places where we can't even imagine today. And I think in my lifetime I'll be able to see and get a shape from a robot. So never say no.
Thank you, sir, for your answer.
I just wanted to add a point of trust, actually. While she's talking about why can't AI do it? Right? Why can't AI we can create a program which can exactly say, okay, she's beard is on the right side, X and left side Y. Why don't we just go behind this beard at this point in time? But then, are we trusting the process? I think that's very important part. As long as we build that trust alongside the process, then it becomes easier, right? Not just beard, we can go with any kind of implementation of day-to-day activities that which we are doing today. So I just would like to leave it saying that now, as long as we build a trust component in the process, workflow, or specific programs, right, that becomes easier. When you're trying to train a model, right, you train the model until you build that trust. And I think we all are trying to say is right. In some aspects, the trust needs to be built. In some aspects, the trust is already built. And then that's where AI can just go faster. And now AI is going to be here, right? We are not going to let AI take over jobs or no, it'll be complementing with each other, right? So AI is going to be here, whether you like it or you do not like it. How to work along with AI is something that we all have to learn trust and judgment.
Right. We will keep putting our panelists in more of a tough spot, right? And we'll again come back to the Q&A in a while. So, because there was a question about a trade-off, so I also have one question for Rishi sir. Let's say you have I think we have spoken about it a bit also. That let's say you have a GTM model, right, which analyzes your customer base and recommends that you relocate 60% of your sales, staff to some other new high growth region, right? And the maths and the data is very accurate, right? But it means, probably moving away from a lot of the workforce from the regions who have helped build your company in the first place, like the older customers, right? What would you do in that case? Would you accept the decision, or how would you validate? How would you go ahead making that tough part?
Yeah. So see, as I said, it is a decision where I will first react like what if any other employee would have given the same suggestion. Forget as of now AI. Let's say if any employee would have given me a similar suggestion, what will I do? I will counter question, right? And why you are thinking so? What are the proof points? What is my competition doing? What are my competitive insights? So it's always about that when you get the first level of insights or information, you should not trust it. You should not. As the point Dr. was saying, because for me, going back to the pyramid, this is a decision which potentially is in the center of pyramid. It's not like one of those repetitive, low impact decisions that I'm taking. Also, it's not about the top decisions, right? It's somewhere in the center, and as I said, that I will take the insights, but I will counter question that why are you saying so? Right? What are the data points? What are the proof points? What if I will not do this? What will be the impact? Help me build a what if scenario. So it will become like a very knowledgeable buddy to whom I can challenge, ask questions, and see what are the responses. See, many times, I think all of you have experienced when you interact with ChatGPT and they give an answer, you don't like it. If you ask, oh, I think you are wrong, you have missed this. It will go back, recalibrate, and give you another answer. Or it will validate, no, that no, this is the right answer. So something similar you have to engage with the system, question, cross question, and see, purely because of the example that you have given me, I think there is some merit in what AI is telling me. It's saying that you have some loyal base of customers. Now, don't invest too much on sales or marketing on them. This is another base of customer. Focus on them. So maybe there is a merit if I think about it because they are already a loyal base of customer. They are anyways buying my services. So maybe it's already established. Even if I don't do sales push and marketing, they will continue to buy. So rather than reinvesting my energy and time and energy and onto that specific piece, which anyways is going to buy, I might go into some new sector and push my sales budget into that and potentially get a new source, whereas this continues. So
And this kind of like decision making comes with a lot of experience. That's why it's so important to get an experience and understand.
absolutely, there's no substitute for an experience. There's no substitute for an experience, but at the same time, all these are new tools and accelerators. And as Nilotpal was saying, you are at a very, I would say, best age because you have these tools which we were not having. So you are already at I would say, in a race, you are already starting a bit ahead. And now, as you gain experience, which is very important, you need to understand and that relevance, that context will come. And I'm sure you all will excel.
Thank you so much. So I'll ask a question to Chirag sir. Right, so let's say we have you have a very properly built automated claims adjudication engine, right? And there's a customer who has requested for a reimbursement, and the maths is absolutely flawless. The engine suggests that hey, it denies upfront, right? But let's say the patient is actually in distress, and going by your experience, you feel this might be one of the genuine cases. So how would you deal with this situation? Would you, at what point would you want to override the, AI? How would you go about this?
So it seems you got our secrets out. So as we speak, this is what we are doing. We have a AI-based adjudicator, which basically passes a decision on the claim, whether to pay or to reject. Now, what you have asked is the execution. Okay. Now there are two ways. Today, what are we doing? Is the society ready? No, it is not ready. Is my organization ready? Probably not. Because the trust probably is not there. So if I were to reject and somebody was to go in a code of law and challenge that, I may not have that trust on the AI to support or hold good in the code of law. So today, what are we doing? We are using AI? Yes, we are using AI. What it does, it goes through that claim papers, those policy conditions, those complex scenarios, triangulation of the diagnosis, treatment, and the symptoms, whether it is correct, whether any fraud is involved, whether extra billing has been done, whether any past history which tells me that this guy should not be having this disease. All those scenarios is something that AI is doing deeply. A claim, believe me, when a claim comes, there are 110 pages, and our doctors are supposed to adjudicate that claim in 30 minutes. Imagine 110 pages of medical document that they have to go through, right? And 30 minutes is the upper side. We are talking in minutes actually. So at that scale, today we are leveraging AI, but allowing the human to take a decision. Let's take tomorrow as a decision. Tomorrow, all is sorted. AI will hold good. AI can reject, send a rejection letter to the customer directly. What will I do differently? As you rightly said, there is a human in distress. So instead of doctor adjudicating a claim, as soon as the machine is rejecting a claim, I will make the call center call the person and explain it. So I'm putting my human resource capital in the correct manner. I'm now not making that person do the standard set of activities. check whether the bill is there, check whether the person is there, check the person is right. Not that. Now talk to the person, explain him why his claim is rejected, and take care of that distress. Right? So today, what you said, tomorrow is what you do.
I think that summarizes today versus tomorrow, and as I think the perspective also goes around that never say never. So
Absolutely, never say that.
One of my claim was short for you. I know what you do.
So we have a question for Nilotpal sir. Let's say again we have a some AI-driven project management model which analyzes your global solution delivery, and it tells you for you to be able to optimize your sprint or basically delivery of your features. You have to reallocate your best engineers at different locations globally, currently from where they are. You might have to allocate few of your top resources somewhere else in order to keep the machine running, right? But that might, also result in fatigue or, being away from family and all of the human elements that come with it. Right? So how would you, take this decision? What would you do with the recommendation? How would you challenge it, or how would you go ahead with such a situation?
So AI makes recommendations based on other conditions. It thinks that so when you build a team, right? A team is not a accumulation of just skills. It's many things. There is relationships, there is camaraderie, there is friendships, there is trust. And these things take time to build. Now, AI is saying, okay, split the team, take a couple of people, move them around, right? Some probably might, I don't know whether this question is about moving people geographically or moving them into shifts that can support other geographical locations. Okay? But in either case, when you move people into a different shift, there's also sleep cycles that people have, by the way, right? And these are very human things, which at this point in time, life, again, AI is not taking over. And then there's also domain knowledge. So when somebody moves from one team to the other, it takes time to acquire the domain knowledge. So it's not that over time they will start performing in a different team or different location. So, but then I don't want to be an oldie who completely disregards AI. Okay? If the AI is telling me that there is efficiencies involved in moving engineers around, then there has to be some truth in it. So I would definitely take into account this very seriously. But I would do it overnight properly. And I would do permanent allocations properly. Right? And this is something that I'm actually doing right now in my organization. There's a very important project that we are running, which is in the US time zone. And we're trying to see how we can support it. Now we are not operationally we are 24/7 support model, but project phase we don't do 20%. But they definitely require support during critical phases in the project. So we're trying to see if we can allocate people in turns to work on different time zones, right? And so you're not going to go into a night shift permanently. You'll go there for a month or 2 months, and then somebody else will go. There's a little bit of cost involved in the context between. But it is what it is because we don't want to lose engineers, right? People generally don't like working night shifts. Some people prefer it though, by the way, all right? Because, like for example, one of my team members earlier had a small baby that was born in his house, and he was up anyways all night taking care of the baby. So he preferred the night shift, right? But not everybody does. So you have to see these things are very human that AI cannot take into account, right? So I would take the recommendation very seriously, but I would have to look at the human factors before I start taking decisions. Who goes into which shift and when, and whether it should be a permanent allocation or a temporary allocation, and how we can do the cycle and all of that.
Perfect. Okay. So we have a question for Deepak sir. Let's say we are building an operations platform or a workbench, right? And the APIs and the data pipelines are all perfectly set up, right? There is seamless flow of information from one place to the other. And at this point, hiring manual operations agents, seems like a bit of a cost overhead, right? And you are made to believe with all the demos and everything that the system is seamless and there is not going to be any faults in the system. You can probably do with someone who maintains it. What would you do? You have an operations team? When you're migrating to the new ops workbench, how much of them would you retain? What are the decisions you would take? And yeah.
I understood the question, but let's see people can relate to the question here. Okay, I'll explain the question. So basically, we are saying is there's a platform, okay? Maybe this question can go into a bit of one more lecture mode for 5 minutes if you don't mind. So there's a platform. The platform is running at excellent efficiency. We are adding, let's say, data agents, we are adding specific agents or workbench, as you were saying. We have to improve the efficiency, or we have to improve the operationalizing
efficiency or the SLAs and all.
So today, the platform, when I say platform, it's like a core foundation of a business function. For example, right, you run an offering for your clients. The offering needs to run on a particular The offering needs to run on a particular software. The offering needs to run on a particular hardware. It's a combination of hardware and software. You typically call platform. In simple words, right? Platform is a place where you execute your business operations. Today, the platform is added with all the AI attributes where you get to add your cloud, you get to add your X, Y, Z. I don't want to call it X, Y, Z here for the benefit of these. So what the question is, if we have to improve the efficiency, apart from what is already there, how do I do it? And I would like to just add in, why should I do it? What is the benefit of, let's say, adding more efficiency? Are we okay in understanding the question? The platform is there, it's already operating at greater amount of efficiency, but then the question is, I have to improve further. Every month, every quarter, the business expects us to perform 2x better than what you were performing last week. It's the same scenario in academics, right? You were at X% last semester, you would expect to go Y% in the next semester. Nothing different, right? The efficiency targets are always in place in terms of how the platform can stay. My answer to this would be improving the resiliency of the platform. When I say resiliency, I don't want to use bigger jargons or words, right? How do I ensure that I have not just the trust, I have the process efficiency in terms of are the specific code getting executed? Are the APIs connected? Is the data able to access? When the user is trying to ask a question or use the platform, are they getting relevant answers? And an example tool, for example, I am a sales leader. Okay, I'm on the go always. Okay? And I'm meeting a client, and I don't know anything about the client. So I typically turn to a platform and ask a question, right? Can you give me information about this client in the context of my organization? And the platform, what it does is it goes back to it's a code, looks at the data that it has, looks at the specific workflows that is being run, look at the financial and says, okay, Rishi is meeting let's say a client. The client has already done X amount of money with an organization in ABC areas, and there are areas which we haven't done, right? That's great, right? Because we are able to help this particular person using the platform to be efficient. But that's not good enough in the context of current scenario, right? we also need to understand in terms of how do I improve the efficiency. That's part where you know why, right? Okay. Today, a client uses A product but does not use a B product because the client's NPS score at some point in time was not there. Why? Because maybe services lacked at that point in time. So that's why the client is not interested in, let's say, the consulting stack. The client is only interested in the hardware stack. So the point is now you're trying to improve the efficiency to say, how can I improve my consulting practices for this client? And recommend saying that A, B, C, right? We can alter some of the processes, or we can make shift some of the previous historical experiences that we had, and then recommend new best practices. So it's not a simple answer to say, right? If I add 10 people, can I improve the process? Or if I add, let's say, 15 people, can I improve my platform? Then it goes back to the initial point that I always say, know your problem, right? Ask relevant whys, 5 whys, right? Why are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve? And if so, yes. And if I imply and if I add, let's say, those additional pieces of services that are missing and say, okay, this client does not have a consulting practice of engagement with us, but we can recommend ABC based on some of the engagement the client is looking for in the marketplace. It becomes easy for Rishi, right? Rishi knows, okay, I can pitch to my client what the client is already doing, what the client is expecting, and what the client does not has it. I think that's where the piece of platform comes in. That's where the piece of how I can improve the efficiency comes in. And as I said, AI is going to be here whether we like it or not like it. How I use it in the best interest, how I use it in the best way to improve my results is going to help, let's say, my business leader, because he's more informed now in terms of what should he or she expect. It helps my top line as well as bottom line. I think that's how I would kind of narrate as an explanation to the problem and the question. I hope that was helpful. Okay, now do we understand the question and answer? If you say no, then no.
You say you understand. You say you understand the answer. So I'll ask you a question.
Yes.
What is an NPS score? First one to answer the question will get a guarantee. Okay. Get a guarantee.
Good catch. Active listening.
Beautiful. I think that was like mini masterclass in decision making and what are the factors.
Sorry if I went into a lecture 101 mode.
No, I think it is a real life walkthrough of how leaders do actually make decisions. So it is like a workshop in itself. So yeah. I think before we open the floor to Q&A, I'll have a question for each one of you. Pre-2023, let's say, before there was a lot of advent of AI, versus now in 2026, how has your roles as leaders, how has it changed? How has your roles been shaped? You versus someone similar in the industry. Yes, I will start with you, Chirag.
So we are also dealing with a lot of FOMO. All our leaders are also having a big FOMO. So, but I think we put that to a good use. If I talk specifically about my team here, we were always doing our ML modeling. What we wanted to do is, additional to the ML modeling, bring in the generative AI piece, which can do a little bit of more detailed decisioning. ML was doing basically based on some statistics or the mathematical algorithms, but on the unstructured data, reading a text, telling me whether this medicine is applied or not, all that was not there. So as I told you, right, we already have a bot which actually does this. So the whole thing that I have told my team is exactly the same that I did, because we did our OBT last November, And we kind of laid out our plans, say at least 2 to 3 years for each of my verticals, and I have verticals from data engineering right up to data science. So everyone, what I've told is this exact the same thing, right? I told them gather the skills, might be the problem, not the solution. Yesterday it was ML, today is it generative AI. Yes, but they will have to upskill for sure, right? They will have to upskill, they will have to understand that this may give them discomfort because a lot of explanation is not there. But they will have to still use this tool. So as we said, we are adopting, but we are taking a very, very calculated way of adopting, and the team is also learning on. Yes.
To answer first in a very simple way, absolutely. My role has changed completely. Okay. And I'll answer it in 3 parts. Okay. The first part was pre-COVID, right? We were still, and this is going to be slightly, closer to the role that I am playing in my organization. So I'll also try to, relate to, this role here. Pre-COVID, we were looking at more at workflows, How do I generate insights? Pre-COVID, let's say, pre the AI era of the last 2 years. Okay. We were more focused on how do I generate insights. Flipping aside to now, I don't look at how do I generate insights. The insights are already there. Okay. How do I apply these insights in a more agentic way? When I say agentic way, simple answer. I create agents which can read the insight and deliver it to the next specific workflow or the next specific platform. That's one primary change has happened. We are no more focusing on how do I generate this or how do I generate that. It's already taken care of now. Okay. We just need to ensure that what is getting generated is accurate, what is getting generated is relevant, and that's where the trust portion comes in, right? Do I trust enough to my workflows now? Those are generating outcomes that we need for a particular business problem. That's fundamental change that has happened in my role this one. Second, because I run platforms, earlier I was more focused on stability. Is my platform stable enough on a day-to-day basis? I don't focus that anymore now because I know those aspects are taken care. If something goes wrong, I have a couple of bots that you get generated or code gets generated, which can revive the platform immediately within a couple of seconds. Or we get to know immediately on the phone. I get a phone. In fact, if I get a phone now, if I don't answer it, it goes to the second level, meaning there's a problem on the platform. There's no answer from Deepak. Someone else kind of picks up that call, what we call as a call tree. So those kind of things was a problem earlier, pre-AI era, in terms of stability, right? Every day in, day out. But now I don't worry about stability. I'm more worried about the resiliency of the platform. How does the platform gets implied with contextual data, contextual connections? Because context is very important, right? Just by applying, agents, agentic, workflows, there's a bigger, greater jargons everyone uses, but that's not helpful. So the change that has happened is I look at more from a resiliency perspective, not just how important the outcomes are and how relevant the outcomes are. That's my second change that has happened pre-AI and post-AI. And the third and the most important is, right, skills as a currency for me is evolving. What I was really focused on as my development goals pre-AI are no more same as what I actually have for myself today. So for pre-AI, I was more focused on, okay, let me be more proficient on Python. Let me be more proficient on some of the modeling, understanding modeling. I don't have to worry about those now. Okay. But now, though that development goal has changed to say, right, how can I imply my context of business to the agents so that the agents can autonomously run on the platform? I think that has changed. So my job has predominantly changed pre-AI in the last 2-3 years, or to now. At least I would say the last 1 year there's been massive change in terms of how we do our jobs, and not just me, right? In general, the industry, right? That's how it's evolving, right? Jobs that were relevant or 2 years back in terms of what was important in the job is changing to what context and what business outcome are we, looking at to achieve. I think that's where, I would say it has changed and it is great change and I'm loving it.
I think all of us need to have that attitude. Yes, sir.
So, have you heard postcards? You know what postcards are in the computer world? Okay, so this is before my time. Okay, I've only heard stories about it. But there used to be postcards in which there used to be rules, and they used to be punched into the machine, which was basically binary language, right? And then there was assembly language, and then there was C, and then C++. That's when I came. That was my time when I started programming. And then after I started my career in IT, virtual machines were invented. Java virtual machine, common language, runtime, all of this. That came 4 or 5 years, we developed together. And then there were so many other developments. And I'm going to use the word abstraction. If you have done any programming, right? Abstraction. So there are layers and layers of abstraction that we are building. So by the time I was into my peak of my career in programming, we used to code in CLRs and .NET programming in CLR, which means that the C++, the assembly language, the machine language, all that is abstracted to me. I don't need to worry about all that, right? And then there were other advancements where CI/CD and DevOps and robotic process automation, robotic cognitive automation, and all these started coming. And more layers and layers of abstraction started getting in. So the answer to his question for me, has my role changed? Yes and no, it hasn't changed much technically. Right? Earlier there were other layers of abstraction. Now we've added one more layer of abstraction, which is artificial intelligence. So now there are many things that I don't have to worry about. That's why I said earlier, I'm jealous of you guys. Okay, because there are so many things which are hidden under those layers of abstraction that don't have to worry about. They'll be taken care of. And like Chirag gave the example earlier, that we don't want to be wearing chassis or cars all our lives. We don't have to worry about that. Right? All that can be automated. We just it's fine. Right? So my role hasn't changed. It's just dealing with another layer of abstraction. It is understanding that now we can solve bigger problems. In the pharma industry, for example, time to market is a very important. That can be turned into a patent drug. Okay? So we file for a patent and we get a patent. Now we have a 5 to 7 year period within which we have to develop this drug. The drug is not developed yet. We just see potential in that drug. Develop that drug and then market it. Right? What does the patent mean? Nobody else in the industry can build that product and say, I have a patent on it, right? But only for 7 years. Okay, so let's say I take 4 years to develop the drug and get approvals to start selling it. There are regulatory bodies that will approve the drug based on safety standards and such. Which means I only have 3 years to make money. Right? Over 3 years. Now if I can reduce that time to market to 3 years, then I have 4 years to make money. Right? So artificial intelligence has tremendous potential in first identifying a molecule that can potentially become a medicine. And then, we have a long and complicated drug development cycle in which we have clinical trials, animal trials, human trials, all of this. AI can help there as well to reduce the time. So the time to market has a huge impact on the pharmaceutical industry. So this is just one example I'm giving you. So now I can solve bigger problems. Earlier I was involved with lower level problems. AI takes care of all those lower level problems for us. So yes and no. The role has the role really fundamentally changed? It's not. But I get to solve bigger problems now. And so do you. You're going to have a lot of fun in your careers, trust me. You may not realize it because you're not going to go through the grind that we did. Okay? But you'll have a lot of fun.
Don't you love the grind that you went through?
Okay. That's a very, very interesting question. There is some amount of fun and adventure in going through the grind time. Spending nights and nights in the office, sleeping on the floor and also imagine. But after I had come to the strategic, part, I got to realize that this is not fun.
Yes. Yeah. To see as Fractal, what we do, we enable AI for another organization, right? That's what we do. We are into B2B of AI. So we sell AI to another company. So yes, it has changed our organization and my role in two ways. First, everyone wants us to do the magic because the hype is so much. So it's a lot about working with clients to solve their problems in a realistic manner and shaping the solution together, leveraging whatever latest and greatest we are doing in AI. And it has changed few things fundamentally. There was a lot of focus, I would say, prior to 2021, 2022 on services, AI as a service. It's because a lot of entities they want to enable AI in their own organization for which they need experts, and companies like Fractal can bring those experts who can work with different teams and enable AI for them. But what we are realizing is that AI is compressing things to a large extent, right? And it's all about the what we call automation, efficiency. So it's really compressing. And that's where we are realizing that it's no longer about the services that you can bring on table. It's all about the IP, the products, the assets that you can bring on table to work with your clients. Right? So the focus has changed. It's no longer about taking and talking about AI services, it's shifting to AI products. And clients are also understanding it, but a lot of my role is also to convince them to ensure that they trust these AI IPs, their products and services. So there's a different, I would say, discussions, business discussions at all levels, from a procurement to a IT head to a business head. All the conversations have changed, I would say, specifically in past 2 years, as AI products are maturing more and more and more. I hope you understand services versus product, right? Lot of traditional Indian IT companies are in IT services, and that's why you are realizing that once that when Cloud is announcing its product, right? What's happening to IT services stock price? So that's the difference between services and product, and that's where the narrative is changing. So that's one thing. Second thing is, because we are positioning AI products and services to other companies, we are first leveraging it internally. And there's no option. Because if we sell AI, we have to first ensure that we use AI within our own organization for whatever things we ask our clients to do it. So that made us realize, and I think this is very important for all of you. It is not about making current process faster and better. And I think there is a old saying, right? If you ask a person who's riding a horse, what do you want? They will ask for a faster horse. If you ask a person driving a car what they want, they'll ask for a faster car. So there will never be a new car or there will never be an invention of an airplane. Because you will always try to ensure that whatever work you are doing in current manner, how you can make it better and faster. And AI is not RPA on steroids. It is not automation on steroids, and you can do things better and faster. And you should not. If you are doing that, you are doing disservice to this technology itself. You have to reimagine that now that you have AI, how you can use, or at the end, it all goes back to what problem you are trying to solve. And in order to do that, you reimagine the entire process and see how an AI fits into that. To give a very simple example, and this is something that we are doing at Fractal. This is one of the many, but it's a simple one, right? You know how talent acquisition process works, right? There is a JD job description, and you will apply your CV to it, and then there will be some kind of mapping which will happen between the JD and CV, basis which there will be certain CVs which will be shortlisted, they will go to assessment, interview, selection. Yeah, simple. Any doubts? So this is the process. Now you can use AI to make it faster and more specific, right? How will you do it? You will try to improve the mapping of the JDs and CVs. You will try to do the assessments which are much more curious or sorry, much more focused, right? And then still go through interviews and select. That's one way. But we have reimagined the entire process. Now we have AI as a technology. And because it has become cheaper, we can use it at scale. We don't ask for your CV. We don't need your CV. Because what we realize that the CV is modified or evaluated by ChatGPT, right? The JD sometimes and many times is written by ChatGPT. So it's ChatGPT written CV mapped to ChatGPT written JD. It's not about actual skills. It's not about actual experience. It's just CV versus CV. And at the end, someone who has used the CV or ChatGPT better has a better possibility of at least getting shortlisted using CV and VP. This is not right. So what we have done is there is no CV, there is just a requirement, and we will give you a link. Anyone can apply. 20 minutes of online evaluation will happen, which is being done by AI bot. Out of which there are three things that will measure: your aptitude, your logical reasoning, your communication. It's like two-way interaction. Right? We'll ask you a few questions which will help you assess your reasoning, your communication, and it will have take place with proper proctoring, so we know it's you. Because of this, no CV, the kind of candidates which are being shortlisted for interview, we can see a stark difference, and it shows in numbers. Earlier, out of 100 candidates who were shortlisted basis CV, we used to select about 8 to 10%. Now, from 100 candidates who are shortlisted basis this process, we are shortlisting almost 35 to 40%. So it has improved. We are getting better candidates. Not just that, a lot of time, and we all will understand, leaders are spending a lot of time in interviewing people. And if we can just reduce that time even by half, so many hours are being saved. And we have reduced that almost by, I would say, 60%. So that was a key problem. We want to hire people, but we were not able to interview so many people. And now we need not interview so many people because we have used AI for better shortlisting. So we have reimagined the entire process. So that is how you will have to look at that what tools you have at a cheap cost, these AI tools. This is just HR, similarly your marketing, your sales, your finance. Every process you will have to reimagine and then see what are the benefits that you can achieve.
Yeah, I think we were discussing about the right problems to solve, the right questions to ask. What we saw, a common theme at least we could observe in all the answers is how all the leaders have a understanding of the shifts and the patterns in the industry and they're able to compress it in and give us to us in this condensed format and then take actions on the basis of it. Like being in the insurance industry, resiliency versus stability of platforms, being able to solve more problems are abstracted out, so it's solving more important problems versus reimagining the entire scope. So yeah, that was like really insightful. And yeah, I think we should open the floor to Q&A.
Before we open the floor, right, we've answered our bit. We would like you as a moderator to answer how has your role changed? Because you just passed out at the time.
So when I actually started, I started in a bank, the ICICI Bank as a product manager. So there, when we were doing the discovery, so we all do a set of user research, user understanding, discovery process, and then we go through a software development life cycle. We talk to the engineers, the ops teams, and everyone. So the discovery part that we used to do and the user research took a lot of time for us to look at the resources, validate this, maybe have a few interviews. And then, going through ops and CS documentations, all of that used to be complex. So what we can do now, at least from a productivity point of view, is the process of discovery closure has become much shorter. We do our secondary research, primary research with perplexity or a co-pilot. If you have already data for your company within co-pilot, so Zeta uses co-pilot. So we have that. Then making your own prototype. So before we go to the design team and ask them for designs, we used to write in text, go to the design team. Now we can actually bytecode a few basic things, right? And we can do it on Lovable or Google AI Studio and go to them and say that, hey, what do you think of this and can we make this better? And in the software development life cycle, like shooting up a bit of automated test cases, talking to the QA teams have become more easy. So it's the timeline that is reduced. So we are expected to do more work in lesser time, close out more PRTs and all of that. And yeah, we are expected to upskill because the role of development, like software engineers and product managers are sort of merging. So we are, it's now the race versus whether they have come to this side or we go to that side. So yeah, that is there. So yeah,
That's great. Thank you. I think one word I'm going to just pull you out for first of all is white coding. Yeah. Keep focus on it. And tell your younger generations as well, right? Focus on white coding, white chatting, whatever, but I think that's gonna get you to learn on the run. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so please go for the questions, please.
Hello, my name is Roshan and I'm first year MBA Analytics students here. My question is about like right now we are talking about like we should focus on problem more. Like which problem we are solving rather than using tools. And like whatever tools we are using, just like what the problem we are solving, that is the main focus. Right now in the educational institution, it's more about like they're teaching fundamentals or more focus on fundamentals. So like my question is about like is it good to focus on fundamentals in the careers like in the educational institution, or like they should also leverage AI and like take help of AI, and like there should be a change of course curriculum. So like right now, like as the pace we are evolving in the AI, so like for the educational institution also like there should be some changes need. What's your point on it?
You're asking a bunch of models whether we should focus on.
No, I understand. So part of my role is also to go to a lot of colleges and do hiring for intern. And this is my experience and my point of view, and this is not generalized. I know there are students listening on the other side of the class as well. But what I have seen is the curriculum that we have here is great. You build fundamentals. But then how do you apply that curriculum to industry practices? I think that is where we need to bridge the gap. And how do you bridge the gap? Okay, that's a question everyone has in mind, right? Okay, I've been taught A, B, C in my curriculum, and I am expected to flourish using the curriculum that I've been taught. But then when you flip side, go to an interview, or you flip side and start working, you don't see exactly some of those scenarios, right? So how do you bridge that gap is what your question is. Did I get it correctly? Yes. And there is a need to bridge that gap. And how do we bridge that gap is A, using some of the industry exposure that you get. B, there's also a need, there's also a need to, improve the curriculum to the, emerging tech stack that we have. And that's something that, will happen over a period of time. It's not like a day one, because if you see the technology itself is evolving the last 2 years or a year, right? If you keep changing the curriculum every 6 months, then, you're just kind of flipping the pages, and then, when you flip the page, nothing is gone. So there has to be a balance between a change in curriculum for sure. B, getting an exposure to ongoing industry. I know a lot of the students do capstone projects. You take a look at what's coming, but don't just look capstone as one standard golden approach, right? Because that's not actually that is not exactly what you will be applying, right? It's a good way to start it, but very important is having the balance between getting an exposure and what's happening in the industry is going to be very important. And I think overall, over a period of time, the curriculum also should. That's my point of view. It's breaking.
I know. So, what's fundamentals for you? What's the fundamentals for us? I studied Win32 programming, VC++, Microsoft Foundation classes, those kind of stuff. Right? You're studying a very different set of fundamentals now. So they are important. The curriculum needs to change like this, right? And I agree. And it will change over a period of time. And it has changed in the last 15 20 years. And it's continuing to change. And I think fundamentals are important because once you've understood the foundations, in all probability, you will never work on the fundamentals that you're studying in class today. Okay? But when those fundamentals are there in your background, it helps in the long run.
So I think I echo fundamentals cannot be replaced and you need to be thorough on it. Right? It's like building blocks. You need to know what the building blocks are and how to use them to read all the subjects that you are learning. And I think all the tools when we're talking about Claude, Perplexity, not sure how many of it is being taught to you. Right? A lot of you who are using it potentially are also doing it on your own. Yeah, is it right? All the tools. So I think that is the rigor that you need to keep and sustain. And maybe see the thing is curriculum easily takes 6 months to 1 year minimum to upgrade or change, right? With every batch. So there is limited which can be done at that level at a fast pace. But industry, specifically AI, is changing and shifting at a very fast pace. So I think as long as you are curious, you are open to invest 50 to 20% of your time on just knowing what's happening and what new tools are out there and just play with them. Just play with them. See, as a fresher, as a corporate when I will hire a fresher, it will definitely be an edge to someone who has just used different tools and you know what you can do out of these tools. And I'm just saying, even if you know, you're not thorough about it, but you have tried, you know how it works, even at 60-70% accuracy, we are fine. As corporate, I'm sure we are fine because. But that 20% of your time, you need to yourself think and invest on the new things which are coming, specifically the people who have taken analytics. But not just that, if there is an HR specialization, finance specialization, marketing specialization, you all need to be aware of what are the new tools which are coming in HR as a domain, right? AI tools, or marketing as a domain, or finance as a domain. I think at least when I was in college, I was doing my commerce. Tally was pretty relevant. So Tally was not being taught to us in college, but we all went ahead and we were spending some time and energy to learn what Tally is. And you're not expecting college the theory of Tally is fine. We're not expecting college to teach Tally because we know it takes time for curriculum. So stay curious. And even our corporates, see, even for our existing employees, I'm sure a lot of us are putting time and energy. We want them to spend 10% of their time. For someone it can be 10, 5, 15, whatever. But we want them to spend certain percentage of their time in learning and experimenting with what new things are coming. So similarly, I think at this, if not 10, maybe 20, right? Because we're still learning, spend that time. So don't just put the entire onus on the college. Yes, everyone will try to do, even colleges try to do. What they can do is they can do tie-ups with corporates to come up with some cohorts or problems, right? Then you can solve so that everything you are learning, you get a chance to use. So that your corporate and the college entire. But I think it is also your responsibility to just get more curious and just get your hands dirty.
So I have a little radical view on this. One is, rather I would say it's the time to double down on fundamentals. STEM is taken care. AI will take care of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, math. Everything is there in the environment. But what are the other fundamentals? Not for you, probably, what he advised for you is good enough, but I would really wish sitting in an educational institute, I would wish if there is a school by 10th grade, students know carpentry, building, tin material, and whatnot. Because those are the skills nobody is going to learn beyond the school or the educational school. And that will help you use AI to deliver tools which will work in real time. Right? If you know farming, amazing. Then only you can solve a problem, which is related to the farmers using AI, right? So I would really suggest double down on fundamentals. This is your time not to worry about job, not to worry about performance, not to worry about promotions, salaries. It's only to build your fundamentals. Spend time there is what I would suggest.
Yes.
Yes, sir. My name is Priyanshu. I have two questions. First one is for Mr. Trey. Like you have mentioned, earlier, there was a connectivity issues. So you have mentioned earlier that to a person, you have given a specific example of a hiring. There is a partial process of being like you can depend upon the AI completely, and you need a human intervention in the second one, right? But what I believe is AI is the trained model. It can get trained based upon your experiences as well, because you have also been trained by someone probably seniors or through your experience. If you train AI based on your experience and what you look forward for a candidate, it can train. Also, it has the capability to get trained in a probably a psychological program, like how a person is behaving, what are his facial expressions, like is it telling lie or something similar things. So how what is the special feature of in a human that AI can't be replaced? And my second question to all of you are like there are some decisions we make based there are some are at the bottom of the pyramid and some are at the top of the pyramid. Basically, what happens is the decision we make at the top of the pyramid, they are always conflicting. We need to choose with both the decisions we have some major trade-offs in the board decision. What were your one or two decisions that make you sit here instead of being an employee and sitting in a cubicle doing work in the lab?
Okay. I'll take the first question because it was to me. So basically, what you're saying is that what is there in the human-to-human interaction, which is not there today in AI as a model. Again, going back to the point, it's as of today, never say never. As it learns, as it gets better, maybe 100% recruitment can be done by AI. If you don't, potentially there will be no human interaction. Right? Listen, might be 2 years away, 5 years away, 10 years away. We don't know. What I'm saying is, you have to reimagine. So first part you already right, and we have moved away from CD to JD mapping. We have removed that part and we have introduced a layer where AI is helping in shortlisting. That shortlisting is already turning out to be better. Now, usually how industry will look at it, progress is that see, when you meet someone face to face or in person, you try to gauge assertiveness, you try to gauge, I would say, sympathy, empathy, all those soft factors, right? Confidence, you get many times what you rightly say, AI can be trained on past data, but it cannot be trained on future data. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. It is just a reflection of what it has seen till now. Obviously, the more data you feed in, it will get better and more accurate and more accurate. At the end, potentially, it can still take better decision than human. I'm fine with it. I'm not saying that at the end, human will always be better. But that, what is that point when it will flip from AI versus human taking that final decision? Right? There are certain things like for nursing, when we are discussing which are the jobs which potentially will be replaced by AI later, nursing is one of them. Because you need human empathy to be there, and it seems like AI, nobody is saying nursing will not be replaced by AI. It will just potentially take longer. So similarly, even end-to-end hiring can potentially one day be done by AI. But yeah, today you still need that interaction because potentially AI is not at that mature level. But you train it. At the end, there will be some A/B testing which will happen that finally, after a certain shortlisting, 5 candidates will further go with a round of interview with AI. In 5 candidates will go to further with a round of interview with human. And once they're selected or not, their performance potentially will be tracked for 1 year, 2 years. And they will see, okay, this person which was 100% selected through a process which was driven by AI, if that person is performing better, and if you start getting more and more such examples, obviously everyone will have data point and then no one will even ask for 100% no, AI plus human. So all those things, that's how industry will progress, that's how things will change. The same thing is happening with Waymo. I think this was an example, right? The autonomous cars. Now today it's working in San Francisco, Los Angeles. Today it's not working in India because the conditions are different. But I'm sure they know Google. It's a Google company. Sundar Pichai knows that this is a problem, and maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, that will those Waymo cars will potentially be able to navigate Indian traffic. So yeah, that's the reality of today. It will get better and cheaper. If that happens, yes, things will change. You had one more question.
What were your decisions that made you sit here instead of being just employed and working in a cubicle?
What were your decisions you made in a career that today we are sitting in this room, not in a cubicle or something? I think we all went through that.
But I start, right? Would you like your right?
So interesting question, actually. Very hundreds of thousands of diseases. Okay. Getting into programming, working with the right leaders, that is one of the most important. I have had the good fortune of working with some very visionary leaders who are also my mentors and coaches. Simple things such as once I was at that time I was working with Microsoft, and I was one of the core points when Microsoft hires at that point in time. I don't know how it is now, but at that point is if you love Microsoft or not. Okay? That was the core foundation of why they would hire. Because they are believed that if you love the company, then you do the right things for the organization. So you should be joining Microsoft for the right reasons. There was this training that we had to go through when we are interviewing candidates, where we ask the right questions to understand whether the person is passionate about Microsoft technologies or not, and so on. Having said that, so I was very passionate about learning Microsoft. Having said that, my manager at that time, after joining, told me that it's good to be passionate about the company, but love your work. Don't love your organization. And it was a good lesson for me. So there are many such things, joining, working with group visionary leaders being one of the most important things. Now, there is also a certain amount of good fortune that, leads you to working with group leaders. I have friends who have not had the opportunity to work with that group leader.
So what would you think curiosity has? Staying curious or
Staying curious and speaking.
Yeah, that's a core foundation. It's not really a decision. You have to keep on learning. And you have to enjoy what you're doing. And that's one of the most important things for me. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you'll not be curious, you'll not be passionate, you'll not be, everything will be too much hard work for you. And you'll be waiting for the weekends the rest of your life. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, then you won't wait for the weekends. You wait for the Monday morning. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then be courageous and move. Right? You don't have to continue doing what you don't enjoy. That is one of the critical things for me, I think.
What I would say is that, I tried for IITs, I listed, I tried for IIMs, I listed, right? But then the fact is this that, yes, it does give, a good starting point, but does it take you long? Maybe yes, maybe no. I think what is important is, so my philosophy was always go with the flow. I'm a civil engineer, by the way. I'm a civil engineer, I worked 3 years with on the site constructing buildings. Then I did my MBA and 2008 Lehman Brothers had happened and I was suddenly asked to be in the team of data and analytics 20 years back. I said I'm a civil engineer, but then that's how it was, right? So I took that challenge. So I think going with the flow and excelling is important. So for me, that has worked. But yeah, you need to concentrate on those skills.
Well said.
I think just one point to work for me is raise your hand when you think there is an opportunity and go for it. You have to, even if you have, let's say, 30% doubt that how will I do it, not do it. If you have the attitude, just raise your hand and grasp the opportunity and lead it. That has worked for me. I'm sure you will also discover what will work for you, but yeah, thanks for that.
I just said that. Enjoy what you do. That will make you sincere. If you don't enjoy what you do, right, then you're just doing for the sake of doing. It will get you to a point, but after that, right, it's not going to take you further. Know the game. When I say game, know your core subject. If you don't know your core subject, it becomes very difficult. Know your subject. Show up very aggressively. When I say aggressively, not in terms of aggression in face, in terms of how you want to get yourself visible, how you want to stay curious in anything and everything, and enjoy what you do. When you enjoy it, then it becomes easier. There's no stress of Monday morning for us, at least for me. I think you should also answer this.
I'm too young to be answered.
That's okay.
I still sit in my cubicle. So yeah.
This whole point of discussion here. Like from this complete discussion, we got to know like how effectively we can use the AI in terms of innovation. What about in terms of invention or something, like it can be in the military purpose, or it can be in the R&D of the software or something, or it can be the political decision also. So how effectively we can use this AI? Will it really do better or not?
So I'm into pharma, and like I said, we are into innovative medicine, and it's as close to invention as you can get. And here's the reason. So it's extremely fascinating if you study how scientists invent new medicine. There's a concept of protein folding. So what happens is there is a protein that folds in a certain way. Now earlier, we used to look into the electron microscope to try to understand the structure of the protein, right? Because what is the medicine? We get two proteins to stick together, and that's when it becomes a medicine. Either we kill the molecule or we activate the molecule by joining molecules. But to join the molecule, you need to understand the structure. Now we are looking through an electron microscope and you're trying to understand the structure of the protein. You can only see one side, you can't see the other side. Okay? Google has come up with a concept called AlphaFold. Has anybody heard?
They won the Nobel Prize.
They won the Nobel Prize, right? So what AlphaFold does is it simulates this protein structure. It creates three-dimensional images of the protein structure based on the data that's been given to it. And then so now what used to take years and years, like 10 years, sometimes 5 years to understand. And this is the biomedical research part. Okay, so there are two parts of drug development. First part is biomedical research, in which you try to identify a molecule. And the second part is drug development, in which you go through the trials and such. It used to take many, many years. Now what they have done is there is a huge database of proteins. It's called dynamic encoding library. And AlphaFold runs through this library and tries to find combinations of proteins. So what used to take years now takes weeks to build. So the answer is an emphatic yes. I'm only talking about drug development, but yes, why not? Artificial intelligence can definitely be used in inventions and discoveries and whatnot.
Yeah, I'll add one more example. So we all know airplanes out there, right? And why you see most of the airplanes are white in color? It's white in color because if you paint it, it will increase the weight of the plane in itself. And if it gets heavier, it will consume more fuel. Right? So that's the reason it's white in color. Why I'm saying this is because as we are talking in material science also, AI is being used to try and discover new kind of materials which potentially don't even exist today. And then can that material be lighter than what it is being used to create an airplane, at the same time safer. So lighter and safer, so obviously because it's flying at almost 26,000 feet, it should not collapse, right? So these are just one example, right? That if AI is able to identify this kind of material and there is a massive research which is going on, your tickets, plane tickets at your level will become cheaper, the airline will become more, I would say, profitable. Yeah, this is a business kind of impact, but AI is trying to do. And we just see that what are the different kind of materials. I was actually at a NASCOM summit earlier this week, and they are trying to solve this problem of rare metals because we know China is the one today when they have all the leverage. So there is a absolute AI-driven research in that how can they try to find some substitute of a rare metal which can then be used in chips in semiconductor industry. So all those things are currently being done as we speak. Maybe some of it will come in live in 5 years, 10 years. Potentially there will be many more global prize which will come AI way. Just like DeepMind, MS knowledge, whatever it did. So it's happening.
I don't want to give an answer because I'm also learning as we all sit here together, right? How AI can help better, right? So I think I'm with you, right? We still have to, learn. We have to, understand where AI can evolve. But one example I can tell you, which I am trying to proceed. I like to, create patterns. Okay. My last pattern that we are creating around the group of my colleagues, right? We have to sit and prove that we do not have something that already exists out there. It used to take us at least a week or two more to understand if the art was available or if the pattern was available. Today, I'm actually working on my next one, and we just flipped it in like days time. Let's look at whatever idea is. Let's put through to see are there any recognizable patterns available across the industry so that we are not just submitting our pattern for the sake of submitting. We are submitting a true pattern. So that's something that actually helped me, which I never thought of looking at, can I use AI to look if a pattern exists in a particular art frame that I was looking at. So at least I am learning along with you in this field, and we all will evolve as we go through. I think that's my point of view.
I think what has been covered. So, if your question is that as we speak, it is being used. So, Palantir is another organization which applies AI in military, and obviously, you'll never know, you'll never be able to understand the case studies, but yeah, big time. So, be rest assured. See, the point is again, I firmly believe currently AI is helping only the experts. So, if you know what is your starting point, if you know where do you want to end up, it is fast tracking that journey, and people are using it, right? So you know how to use it, it will definitely be helpful.
So we have time for one last question that we'll take.
Yes.
Okay, you already ready.
Hello, sir. So, towards the beginning, we talked about how regulations or compliance they act as like major roadblocks when we're talking about leveraging AI. But that's from the customer's point of view that we have to take into account the regulations or the privacy aspect. So I want to understand from the organization's point of view. So especially as an employee, let's say I'm supposed to produce an output in a very small point in time, like very limited point in time to let's say produce a deliverable. So how do I make sure, like how do organizations make sure that organization's data is not being jeopardized while at the same time AI is leveraged in the right way?
First of all, it's mandatory to follow those regulations, data privacy, data security policies. It's not like nice to have, it's must. And that's why large organizations are not just celebrated, but no, they are trusted with their data from clients. So it's not a choice that we have, okay? And today, AI is at times, because the model is learning and evolving, may not be able to look at those aspects. So that's why it's important to double click, peel the onion, and see are we taking into consideration A, B, and C. Okay, that is 100%. Okay, so what's the second part of the question? Because the first part of the question I understood. What's the second part of the question?
So basically, how are organizations ensuring that, like, while employees try to work on certain deliverable, that that information that is very specific to that particular organization, that is not being leaked by leveraging AI?
Okay, I think the second part of your question is to how are we ensuring that we are putting steps and balances in place so that the information is not leaked or information is contained within specific work that you are doing. And that's where the human judgment comes in place, accountability comes in place, responsibility comes in place. I am still responsible for the data that is produced. Why you, another colleague may be working on a particular product, I, as let's say an account manager, I, as let's say a product manager, is responsible to ensure that the data is protected. So that is the reason why there's a human in the loop for a specific reason for ensuring that the accountability is maintained, the responsibility of data efficiency, data privacy is looked at, and at some point in time, maybe we don't need those specific roles to play. And well, as we get better in terms of the trust, as we trust more, saying that, okay, some of my models are ensuring A, B, C regulations are taken into consideration. So, and I would like to take my organization's name here now. IIM is very, very proud of ensuring that we rely on AI governance the most. Ethical AI, responsible AI are the core foundation of anything that we do. So that is standard. There's no question, there's no doubt. So I was having a conversation just on Friday with another client that we are working at. They wanted to share some data. I said no. Unless and until I see your data security policies, I see what I'm shipping out, I'm not going to give the data to you. It might delay a few days, that is okay. But then ensuring that governance is in place is the most important thing for me. I am not bypassing that. And at some point in time, when we build that trust in my models, we will do. And IBM actually is building that notion of governance within the models.
I would just say, all those guidelines would be given by the organization, and that is something that we are trying to, train our employees as well. Because as we speak, Copilot is anyways there, and a lot of our employees who are working and in the enthusiasm to work faster, better, inherently without realizing they are uploading stuff which should not have been uploaded. So we do have tools which can scrape through that and tell us what is happening. So the general guidance is yes, understand the risk appetite of your organization. Point one, use your conscious to understand whether that's sensitive information, and then you are okay with it, right? So at some point in time, these barriers will come down. Right now, it is very high because there is a lot of uncertainty. But as certainty increases, organizations will allow you to, or there will be specific deployments in your tenants where you can go full hog. You can upload everything, right? So understand where your organization is. If it is using out of the box, you need to be very, very careful. If it is a dedicated tenant and they've told you can use, you can use.
So there are still standards around information security, which are still relevant. Industry uses it, NIST, etc., which form the core foundation of security standards, and then you build upon it. So guardrails like Deepak covered earlier are core to how we say the information, and I don't think this is a very complex question. I mean, answer to this question is not very complex, it's really easy. There are standards that you implement, so with standards alone. But regulation itself is also getting organized. So to give you an example, we have regulatory submissions in pharma, right? Where clinical trials happen. At the end of each clinical trial, animal trial, human trial, we have to submit these documents to the regulatory bodies that these are the tests that we've done, these are the results that we found. Even if the drug fails a test, let's say that it's not as per the state safety standards, we still have to do the submission that okay, this drug failed and we are not going to continue researching on this drug. So earlier, the submissions used to happen physically, right? Physical documents used to be loaded on a truck and sent to the regulatory body. Millions of documents, because there are thousands of clinical trials that are happening. And there used to be a huge team of people who used to sit through all those documents, reading each and every document. Because they are the ones who are going to approve the submission or disapprove it, depending upon it. That doesn't happen anymore, right? Everything is digitized. And now they started using artificial intelligence as well to sit through the data. So the amount of time that takes to do regulation has also drastically reduced. And there's advancement happening in every area. So like Chirag said earlier, there will come a time when things will be more relaxed, you know, and we'll get there.
I think all of them are pretty much covered. And yeah, there are certain processes which you can't bypass, and sometimes it slows you down, so that's okay. Because the larger interest is safety, security, regulation, privacy. And everyone complies to it. See, you look at a car, right? You have an accelerator that you can run fast. AI is like an accelerator. But just imagine if you don't have seat belts, if you don't have brakes, if you don't have airbags, how much accelerator will you use? Will you use full throttle? No, because you will always have that risk of accident. But because you have the brakes, because you have the seat belt, because you have the airbags, you are able to use the accelerator because you have confidence that there is something, if it goes wrong, at least these things will take care of me and my family. So this is what AI is the accelerator, and these guardrails are those brakes and seat belts which you need to comply to, because that's in the larger interest of everyone.
Thank you, sir. I also believe the industries that we are in, like in healthcare or in insurance, BFSI, analytics, or the IIMs of the world, it becomes very important to guardrail the data, because some is very proprietary information which cannot be shared outside of the organization. So yeah, definitely a lot of useful insights there. And actually, it's a great question to end the entire discussion with regards to policy. Okay, so as we wrap this session up, the conversation was actually never really about algorithms versus humans, but probably the synergy between them, right? It's not that AI is unreliable, but it is human judgment which is more important as technology advances, right? So it can optimize the processes, but it cannot always build trust in isolation. Humans are required for that, right? So I believe the future belongs to those who can partner with AI using its power to inform decisions. Okay, so I guess this was already covered, and I'm just trying to summarize here that remember that your value will never lie in competing with the machine at its own game. It will lie in bringing the uniquely human qualities, asking the right set of questions, getting more context, getting more experience, understanding the industry, be it farming, be it anything else that you want to solve for. So it will lie in bringing the unique human qualities to the table that no algorithm can replicate. Yeah, so I would like to thank everyone for their wonderful insights, and we should have a wonderful. Please.
Very simple question. Okay. What are you worried as of now? Are you worried of AI? Are you worried that AI is gonna take over XYZ? What are your worries today? Very simple question. You don't have to think random answer that comes on your head.
Yeah, the relevancy in the future.
Relevancy in the future. Anyone else? Okay. I don't know if I can help you with that. Relevancy, yes, for sure, but placements, it's about your. What are you worrying? What's your biggest worry? For him, it's placement. For him, it's relevancy. I want you to turn that around a strength. What you're worrying at. I think that's where I'm going, right? Don't worry about the placement. Worry about how you actually are able to articulate what is needed. Don't worry about relevancy, right? As long as you understand the context, as long as you understand what needs to be done, you will always be relevant. Doesn't matter whether it's AI or IA or whatever. I am asking this question to turn into a strength. Don't be worried. Okay, use that worry and turn it into a strength. There were folks in the industry who were worried of something, but they turned into a strength, which is actually a biggest, motivator for all of us. So whatever you're worried at this point in time, try to turn that into a strength for you. Thank you.
Done between cold hard data and more nuanced human judgment will greatly enrich our students' understanding of the future of business. Thank you all for your invaluable contributions. As we draw this stimulating session to a close, one truth stands out with remarkable clarity. The algorithm is a powerful tool, but human judgment is the power. In the intelligent enterprise, technology augments, but humanity defines the path. As a token of our sincere appreciation, we would like to present our esteemed panelists and moderator with goodie bags for their valuable insights and contributions. We now invite Professor Utkarsh to kindly present the token of appreciation to our distinguished. Your insights on this enduring success offered a powerful reminder to marry the problem, not the you reminded us that tools come and go, but skills stay with you forever. Thank you for the urgent call to self-awareness, for showing us that if you don't know you're in the problem, you'll never be out of it, while demonstrating what it looks like to lead with adaptability and timeless human wisdom. Next up, Mr. Deepak Kulkarni. Your emphasis on clearly identifying the problems before moving to solutions brought great clarity to the discussion. The way you frame situation-based scenarios and outline structured solutions to handle them and important barriers. Thank you for reinforcing that concept problem definition and scenario planning are key to managing complexity with confidence. Next up, the Velospar Das, your insights on the evolving role of intelligence in our decision making offered a powerful and necessary reminder that AI does not have the whole context. Thank you for championing a path forward that embraces innovation, not just for AI's sake, while demonstrating how we take AI recommendations seriously while always considering the human side. She said, Your pyramid view on task complexity was easy to understand and very relatable, explaining that the bottom layer includes simple, repetitive tasks, the middle layer handles more complex, repetitive work, and the top layer needs human judgment and the concept very clear. Thank you for breaking it down in such a practical way and reminding us that human decision making still plays a key role as Mr. Subhadev Pal, thank you for being an exceptional moderator. Your insightful questions and ability to weave together the diverse thread of our conversation were masterful. You ensured our panel was not just a series of talks, but a cohesive and powerful dialogue. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our panelists and moderators for sharing their time and expertise. We also sincerely thank our placement office, Chairperson Professor Utkarsh and Professor Deepak Verma, and the entire administrative team for their unwavering guidance and support in making Vishleshan 2026 a astounding success. Let us leave here today with a renewed commitment to wield the power of data with wisdom, ensuring that as we build intelligent enterprises, we never lose sight of the human intelligence that must guide us. We now request the audience to gather for a group.
You know the drill. You know the drill. You did not this drill.